Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the stillness of the room, Nicholas's world had come to a halt, his breath catching in his throat. The evidence of his clandestine passion lay bare, a vibrant tapestry of silks in delicate colors, tumbling from the closet. As the truth he'd guarded so fiercely unraveled, his mother's gaze locked onto the unexpected spectacle. "Mom," his voice cracked under the weight of his secret. Yet as he searched for words, he found her gaze, not hardened by disapproval, but soft with curiosity. Instead, her eyes sparkled with an unexpected warmth. "Oh, Nicholas," she said softly, reaching out to touch his arm. "Why didn't you tell me?" Nicholas blinked, confused by her reaction. You're not mad?" His mother shook her head, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "No, sweetheart. I'm not mad at all. In fact, She paused, taking a deep breath. "I've always wanted a daughter." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Nicholas felt a weight lift from his shoulders, one he hadn't even realized he'd been carrying.
"Really?"
he whispered, hardly daring to believe it. His mother nodded, her smile growing wider.
"Really?
And if this is who you truly are, then I want to help you explore that side of yourself." Tears welled up in Nicholas's eyes, and he found himself enveloped in his mother's embrace. For the first time in years, he felt truly seen and accepted. Over the next few days, Nicholas and his mother had long, heartfelt conversations about his feelings and desires. She listened without judgment, offering support and understanding. It was during one of these talks that she suggested they go shopping together. "We could get you some proper clothes," she said, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Maybe a nice dress? And shoes to match?" Nicholas felt a thrill of anticipation at the thought. "I'd like that," he admitted shyly. The following weekend, they set out for the mall. As they walked through the entrance, Nicholas felt a mix of nervousness and exhilaration. His mother squeezed his hand reassuringly. "It's okay," she murmured. "We're in this together." They made their way to a boutique that specialized in women's clothing. Nicholas hesitated at the threshold, but his mother gently urged him forward. Inside, they were greeted by a friendly sales associate. "Can I help you find anything today?" she asked with a smile. Nicholas's mother stepped in smoothly. "We're looking for a sundress for my daughter. It's her first time shopping for one." The words, "my daughter," sent a warm rush through Nicholas. He glanced at his mother gratefully as the associate began showing them various options. After trying on several dresses, Nicholas emerged from the fitting room in a pink sundress that fell just above his knees. The fabric was light and airy, with delicate floral embroidery along the hem. As he looked at himself in the mirror, he felt a sense of rightness that he'd never experienced before. "Oh, honey," his mother breathed, her eyes shining. "You look beautiful." Nicholas blushed, a smile spreading across his face. "I love it," he said softly. They purchased the dress, along with a pair of white kitten heels that his mother insisted would complete the outfit perfectly. As they left the store, Nicholas felt as though he was walking on air. Back at home, his mother suggested they have a proper makeover session. She brought out her makeup kit and began explaining the basics of application. "First, we'll start with a good moisturizer," she said, demonstrating on her own face. "Then we'll apply foundation to even out your skin tone." Nicholas watched intently, absorbing every detail. As his mother carefully applied eyeshadow and mascara to his lids, he felt a sense of transformation taking place, not just on the outside, but within himself as well. "Now for the finishing touch," his mother said, holding up a tube of pale pink lipstick. "This shade will look lovely with your dress." As she applied the lipstick, Nicholas closed his eyes, savoring the moment. When he opened them and looked in the mirror, he barely recognized himself. The person staring back at him was softer, more feminine, closer to how he'd always felt on the inside. "What do you think?" his mother asked, watching his reaction closely. Nicholas turned to her, his eyes brimming with tears of joy. I think I'd like to be called Lila," he said quietly. His mother's face lit up with a radiant smile. "Lila," she repeated. "It's perfect." From that day forward, Nicholas began spending his weekends as Lila. His mother helped him create a routine, teaching him everything from nail care to proper posture. They would spend hours practicing walking in heels, giggling together when Lila stumbled or wobbled. "Remember, sweetie," her mother would say, "chin up, shoulders back, confidence is key." Lila absorbed every lesson eagerly, reveling in the freedom to express herself fully. She learned the art of accessorizing, how to style her blonde hair in feminine ways, and the importance of skincare. Her mother even taught her how to shave her legs properly, a task that proved both challenging and rewarding. As the weeks passed, Lila's confidence grew. She began to move more gracefully, her gestures becoming naturally feminine. Her mother watched with pride as Lila blossomed, becoming more comfortable in her own skin with each passing day. One Saturday afternoon, as they sat on the couch painting each other's nails, Lila's mother broached a subject they hadn't yet discussed. "Lila, honey," she began, her tone gentle. "Have you thought about transitioning more permanently?" Lila paused, the nail polish brush hovering over her mother's fingernail. "You mean, like hormones and surgery?" Her mother nodded. "It's okay if you haven't. I just want you to know that whatever you decide, I'm here for you." Lila considered the question carefully. I think I'd like to," she admitted. "But I'm scared. What about school? And Dad?" Her mother set aside the nail polish and took Lila's hands in hers. "We'll figure it out together," she promised. "One step at a time. And as for your father, well, he loves you. It might take some time, but I believe he'll come around." Lila squeezed her mother's hands gratefully. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. Lila began seeing a therapist who specialized in gender identity issues, started researching hormone therapy options, and slowly began coming out to close friends. Through it all, her mother remained her steadfast supporter, attending every appointment and defending Lila fiercely against any negativity they encountered. Telling her father proved to be one of the most challenging moments. They sat him down one evening, Lila dressed in her favorite pink sundress, her mother holding her hand for support. "Dad," Lila began, her voice trembling slightly, "I have something important to tell you." Her father listened silently as Lila explained, his expression unreadable. When she finished, the silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he spoke. "I can't say I understand all of this," he said slowly, "but you're my child. and I love you. That's never going to change." Lila burst into tears of relief, throwing her arms around her father. He hugged her back tightly, and in that moment, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she had the love and support of her family to see her through. As the seasons changed, so did Lila. She began hormone therapy under careful medical supervision, watching with excitement as subtle changes began to take shape. Her skin softened, her facial features became more delicate, and she noticed a slight swelling in her chest. Her mother was there for every milestone, celebrating each small victory. They went shopping for Lila's first bra together, an experience that left them both teary-eyed with joy. "I never thought I'd get to do this," her mother admitted as they stood in the lingerie department, surrounded by lacy undergarments. "Thank you for letting me be part of your journey." Lila hugged her mother tightly, overcome with gratitude. "I couldn't do this without you," she whispered. As Lila's body changed, so did her wardrobe. She and her mother spent countless hours updating her closet, selecting clothes that flattered her evolving figure. They discovered a shared love for vintage fashion, scouring thrift stores for unique pieces that reflected Lila's personal style. One day, as they were sorting through a rack of dresses at their favorite secondhand shop, Lila's mother pulled out a gorgeous 1950s-style dress in a vibrant shade of blue. "Oh, Lila," she gasped. "This would look stunning on you." Lila ran her hand over the fabric, admiring the full skirt and fitted bodice. "It's beautiful," she agreed. "But blue? I've always worn pink." Her mother smiled encouragingly. "Sometimes it's good to step out of our comfort zones. Why don't you try it on?" Hesitantly, Lila took the dress into the fitting room. As she slipped it on, she was surprised by how well it fit, hugging her curves in all the right places. When she emerged, her mother's face lit up. "Oh, sweetheart," she breathed. "You look absolutely radiant." Lila turned to look in the mirror and felt her breath catch in her throat. The blue of the dress made her blonde hair seem to glow and brought out a sparkle in her eyes she'd never noticed before. For the first time, she truly saw herself as the woman she was becoming. "I love it," she said softly, twirling to make the skirt flare out. "I really love it." They bought the dress, along with a pair of matching blue pumps. As they left the store, Lila's mother linked arms with her, a conspiratorial grin on her face. "What do you say we go out for lunch?" she suggested. "Show off that beautiful new dress of yours." Lila hesitated for a moment, then nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. "Yes," she said firmly. "Let's do it." They walked into a nearby cafe, Lila holding her head high despite the curious glances from other patrons. As they settled into their seats, a waiter approached their table. "Good afternoon, ladies," he said with a friendly smile. "What can I get for you today?" Lila's heart soared at being addressed as a lady. She ordered her meal with a newfound sense of ease, engaging in light conversation with the waiter as if she'd been doing this her whole life. As they ate their lunch, Lila's mother watched her with pride. "You've come so far," she said softly. "I hope you know how proud I am of you." Lila reached across the table to squeeze her mother's hand. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. "You've given me the courage to be myself." Their meal was interrupted by a commotion at a nearby table. A group of young men were laughing loudly, casting pointed glances in Lila's direction. She felt her confidence falter as she heard snippets of their conversation, cruel words that cut deep. Her mother noticed the change in her demeanor and frowned.
"Don't let them get to you,"
she said firmly. "You are beautiful and valid, no matter what anyone else thinks." Lila nodded, trying to hold on to her mother's words. But as the laughter grew louder, she felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. Suddenly, her mother stood up, her expression determined. "Excuse me for a moment," she said, before marching over to the group of men. Lila watched in a mixture of horror and awe as her mother confronted the group, her voice low but intense. She couldn't make out the words, but the effect was immediate. The men's laughter died away, replaced by sheepish expressions and mumbled apologies. When her mother returned to their table, she was smiling triumphantly. "There," she said, sitting back down. "I don't think they'll be bothering anyone else today." Lila stared at her mother in amazement. "What did you say to them?" Her mother's eyes twinkled mischievously. "Oh, just reminded them of the importance of kindness and respect, and perhaps mentioned that my husband is a rather influential lawyer in town." Lila couldn't help but laugh, feeling a rush of love and gratitude for her fierce protector. "You're amazing, Mom," she said softly. "No, sweetheart," her mother replied, reaching out to tuck a strand of Lila's blonde hair behind her ear. "You're the amazing one. I'm just here to make sure the world sees it too." As they finished their meal and prepared to leave, Lila felt a new sense of strength coursing through her. She stood tall in her blue dress, no longer afraid of the stares or whispers. With her mother by her side, she felt invincible. Walking out of the cafe, Lila linked arms with her mother once again. "Thank you," she said, her voice full of emotion. "For everything." Her mother squeezed her arm gently. "Always, my darling. Always." As they strolled down the street, the sun warming their faces, Lila realized that this journey, as challenging as it had been, had brought her closer to her mother than she ever thought possible. They weren't just mother and daughter now. They were confidants, allies, and best friends. The road ahead might still be long and filled with obstacles, but Lila knew she could face anything with her mother's unwavering support. Together, they would continue to navigate this new world, one step at a time, creating a bond that would last a lifetime. As the days turned into weeks and months, Lila's confidence continued to grow. She began to venture out more often as herself, no longer confined to weekends at home. Her mother was always there, offering support and encouragement, but also gently pushing Lila to spread her wings. One sunny afternoon, as they were walking through the park, Lila's mother suggested something that made her heart race with both excitement and anxiety. "I think it's time we got you a proper haircut," she said, running her fingers through Lila's blonde locks. "Something that really suits your new style." Lila touched her hair self-consciously. She'd been growing it out, but it was still in an awkward in-between stage. "Are you sure?" she asked hesitantly. What if it doesn't look good?" Her mother smiled reassuringly. "Honey, you could shave your head bald and still be beautiful, but I think a nice, feminine cut would really help you feel more like yourself." After some gentle persuasion, Lila agreed. They made an appointment at a salon known for its inclusive atmosphere, recommended by Lila's support group. As they entered the salon, Lila felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach. The stylist who greeted them, a vivacious woman with bright purple hair, immediately put her at ease. "Well, hello there, gorgeous," she exclaimed, leading Lila to a chair. "What are we doing for you today?" Lila looked at her mother uncertainly, but found the courage to speak up. I want something feminine. Something that makes me feel pretty. The stylist's smile widened.
Honey, you're already pretty, but I know just the style that'll make you feel like $1,000,000.
For the next hour, Lila sat in the chair, watching with a mixture of fear and fascination as long strands of blonde hair fell to the floor. The stylist worked her magic, cutting, shaping, and styling until finally she spun the chair around to face the mirror. Lila gasped. The person staring back at her was undeniably feminine. Her blonde hair now fell in soft layers around her face, framing it perfectly and accentuating her delicate features. It was as if the last vestiges of Nicholas had fallen away with the cut locks, leaving only Lila behind. "Oh, sweetheart," her mother said, her eyes glistening with tears. "You look absolutely stunning." Lila couldn't stop touching her hair, marveling at how different she looked and felt. As they left the salon, she walked with a new bounce in her step, her head held high. "How about we celebrate?" her mother suggested. "We could go to that new restaurant you've been wanting to try." Lila hesitated for a moment, then nodded decisively. "Yes," she said, surprising herself with her enthusiasm. "Let's do it." The restaurant was bustling when they arrived, filled with the chatter of diners and the clink of cutlery. As they were led to their table, Lila was acutely aware of the eyes on her, but for once, she didn't shrink from the attention. She even caught a few admiring glances, which sent a thrill of joy through her. As they perused the menu, their waiter approached.
"Good evening, ladies,"
he said with a warm smile.
"Can I start you off with some drinks?"
Lila ordered a glass of white wine, reveling in the simple pleasure of being treated as the woman she was. Throughout the meal, she found herself engaging in easy conversation, not just with her mother, but with their waiter and even the couple at the next table who complimented her hair. As they finished their dessert, Lila's mother reached across the table to take her hand. "I'm so proud of you," she said softly. "You've come so far." Lila squeezed her mother's hand, feeling a rush of emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied. "You've given me the strength to be myself." Their moment was interrupted by the arrival of the bill. As Lila reached for her purse, her mother waved her off. "This one's on me," she insisted, "to celebrate the new you." As they left the restaurant, the cool evening air kissed their cheeks. Lila took a deep breath, feeling a sense of contentment she'd never experienced before. She was Lila, inside and out, and for the first time in her life, she felt truly whole. "What do you say we take a little walk?" her mother suggested, gesturing towards the nearby park. "It's such a beautiful night." Lila nodded, linking her arm through her mother's. As they strolled along the lamplit path, she found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. "Mom," she said softly, Do you ever regret this? Helping me become Lila?" Her mother stopped walking, turning to face her with a serious expression. "Lila, listen to me," she said, cupping her daughter's face in her hands. "I have never, not for one single moment, regretted supporting you. Watching you become the person you were always meant to be has been the greatest joy of my life." Tears welled up in Lila's eyes, spilling over onto her cheeks. Her mother gently wiped them away, careful not to smudge her makeup. "You are my daughter," she continued, her voice filled with emotion. and I love you more than words can express. I'm grateful every day that you trusted me enough to share your truth." Lila threw her arms around her mother, hugging her tightly. "I love you too, Mom," she whispered. "Thank you for loving me for who I am." As they continued their walk, arm in arm, Lila felt a sense of peace settle over her. The path ahead might still have its challenges, but with her mother by her side, she knew she could face anything. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a soft glow over the park. Lila looked up at it, feeling a connection to the world around her that she'd never experienced before. She was Lila, she was whole, and she was loved. As they made their way home, Lila's mother turned to her with a mischievous smile.
Be sure to check out Patreon
You
for
know,
more.